my pretty listeners. You have stumbled into my evil podcast, Technology Blows. And now your soul belongs to me, your hellish host, Dan Slimmin. And here with me to devour your soul is my familiar, Jeff Bonhag. Say hello, Jeff.
Hello. I'm not nearly as scary as Dan is.
Oh, don't believe him. He's terrifying. You actually have a pretty good Halloween name with Bonhag. You have Hag in your name. That's pretty good.
And Boone. I was thinking Boo, like Boone Hag.
Boo Hag, yeah.
Yeah.
That rules. I can't do anything with mine. I never figured it out.
Dan Screamin'.
Dan Screamin'. That's just what people call me 365 days of the year.
Damn Screamin'.
Jeff, I'm so pleased to have you on the show. I think you're going to love this episode.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm a big fan of the pod.
Jeff was telling me he recorded our first episode, burned it to a CD to listen to it. This is exactly the kind of thing I look for in my guests.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely in the spirit of the pod.
Yeah.
I was like, should I listen to this on a MP3 player from like 2004? And then I was like, no, I should go one step further back, playing it on my Sony boombox.
Next, you're going to be converting it to MIDI and putting it on a floppy disk. How was your weekend?
It was good. We were going to go to a baseball game. My sons both play baseball, but the baseball game got canceled. I mean, we have a dog. We have a puppy. So, we just hang out with her all the time. I don't know, man. I'm living in the moment. I just never, one moment to the next. Who even knows what happened yesterday?
That is what I tell everybody to do. And sometimes having a special piece of technology like a smart bed will help you live in the moment. You wake up every day refreshed. You can just feel like you're ready to go. I had to go to the car dealership this weekend because I had an oil light go off. So I put oil in my engine, and then the oil sensor stayed on. It says oil sensor error, please service vehicle. So I took it to the dealership and they looked at it for like 2 hours, and they sent me a video that shows that the cable that connects my car's computer to the oil sensor had fallen out and had just been dragging along on the ground under my car as I was driving around for a week, which is cool, which is great. I'm so glad they made the oil sensor digital instead of analog so that it can tell me about this problem that only happens because the sensor is digital.
Do you think you bumped over something, or how did that cable get disconnected in the first place?
Possible. Or, it's the oil sensor. Maybe it got all slippery from the oil, and they should have thought of these things.
Yeah, well, that's how it senses the oil. When it's disconnected, you have oil.
Right. That's a great point. Otherwise, it's too sticky. Anyway, it's going to cost $800 to replace this fucking cable.
To plug it back in?
Yeah. Well, no, they got to replace it because it's all ground down from getting dragged around on the road.
Oh.
I got to tell you about this.
Can I ask you something unrelated?
Yes.
I do remember long-time listeners, the true fans of the pod will remember that you started off the podcast by talking about taking your dog's poop somewhere.
Yes.
That was delivering. What was the outcome of that errand?
We got it done. The poop got to where it needed to be, and she still tests positive for not dysentery. Giardia? What did she test? Giardia, yes. So there was a whole kerfuffle with the doggy daycare, but they let her go back. Apparently, according to my wife, who's a veterinarian, these dogs can test positive for Giardia a long time after they don't have symptoms, and it's not contagious anymore. So we got her on probiotics, and she's all right.
Okay.
So thanks for asking.
Cool.
And my car immediately stopped smelling. I mean, I drove with my windows open, so it was all right. The smell was all right. I got to tell you this story. So last night we were at are you familiar with the Star Wars series of films?
I'm familiar with the series, yes.
Okay. So last night we were over at my in-laws for dinner, the whole family, and my 5-year-old was making up some gibberish words at the dinner table. And my father-in-law said it sounded, her gibberish speech sounded like Yoda the Hutt. And everybody stopped and looked at him. And my mother-in-law, sitting next to him, smiles indulgently, puts her hand on his hand and says, "Honey, it's Jabba the Hutt."
Like JavaScript.
Like JavaScript. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that was invented by Jabba the Hutt.
In
Suzanne,
2 weeks.
if you're listening, I love you. See you next Sunday. I just couldn't resist. All right, this episode, Jeff, we're talking about beds. You ever used a bed?
Yeah. Oh man, I used a bed last night. I use one almost every day. I think
So
there.
you're an expert.
Yeah, definitely.
I love them, and I've got one myself. In fact, I have two. Sometimes I sleep on one. If I'm coughing, snoring, anything that's keeping my wife up, I sleep on the other bed. We got two beds where we splurged. Beds are one of the few technologies that predate humanity. Chimpanzees have been building beds for themselves as early as 5 million years ago. Chimpanzee beds aren't like nice. They're just, piled up sticks and leaves. But I did find a study showing that they will pick wood from a specific kind of tree that's good for bed building. So they're not just randomly throwing sticks and leaves around and plopping themselves down. They're intentionally building something that is nice to sleep on. A bed. Which is pretty cool. Good for
What
them.
kind of tree, may I ask?
It is Ugandan ironwood. It's 73.6%. So of the 1,844 chimpanzee nests studied, 73.6% were made from a sturdy tree called Ugandan ironwood, even though that species made up only 9.6% of the trees in the survey region. So, they're going around, they're picking a particular tree, Ugandan ironwood. So anyway, humans probably came into this world with bed technology sort of built into their brains, so to speak. The oldest discovered human-built bed. Do you want to guess how old the oldest discovered human-built bed is?
50,000 years old.
200,000 years old.
Oh, dang.
It was discovered recently in 2020 at Border Cave in South Africa, and it consists of some broad leaves laid down on top of some ashes. Scientists say that the ash may have been used because it's hard for ticks and spiders to walk on, so you don't get as many ticks or spiders on you. And the leaves, it is speculated, had insect repellent properties. We don't have insect repellent beds anymore, but I guess we have insect repellent doors and windows. In any case, it's definitely a bed. So humans have been sleeping on beds for a minute.
Were those beds outside or inside? Like, were we sleeping outside on beds before we sort of moved into, caves or lean-tos or whatever?
That's a great question. I should have an anthropologist on the show and answer that question. Because there wasn't really an inside 200,000 years ago, but there was. You could be in a cave. So
under a tree, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, under a tree would be a good place to sleep. As long as there's not like a lion in there. I guess lions don't climb trees. I only know about technology, Jeff.
What's the most comfortable place you've ever slept?
What's the most comfortable place I've ever slept?
Maybe uncomfortable is better. I don't know. You pick.
The most uncomfortable place I've ever slept was on the deck of a swimming pool. I was at a swim meet and in high school, and I had stayed up all night the night before, and so I just laid down on the deck of the swimming pool under the bleachers and had a little half-hour nap. And I woke up too sore to swim well, but I was never good at swimming in the first place, so it wasn't too much of a loss. What's the most uncomfortable place you've ever slept, Jeff?
I don't know. I've had some. I mean, I've slept on some short couches for sure, like love seats that were too short for a person. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing's really sticking out. I feel like I've had many nights of restless sleep. I remember the first time I ever slept in like Astoria, Queens. It was a perfectly fine situation, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get settled. So maybe that ironwood would have been just the thing.
Astoria unsettles a lot of people. So we've advanced a little past piles of sticks and leaves or ash, and we don't sleep on ash anymore. Most of us. Beds got frames at some point, so stone framed beds have been found in the Orkney Islands at Skarabrich. I copied that pronunciation from a YouTube video of a Scottish guy saying it. I think I pronounced it right. How did it sound?
Sounded great.
Thank you.
We watched this show, This Farming Life. It's about farmers, and one of the farmers is from Orkney, and
Oh, there you go.
he certainly has a very distinctive way of speaking.
Probably knows all about Skara Brie, as I'm going to call it now, because I don't want to injure my soft palate. It's a cluster of buildings inhabited at least as early as 3000 BC, and bed frames have been found at Skara Brie. These were made of 3 flat stones laid on their sides and against a wall. So presumably they would have had soft things laid on top of them, like, bags full of grains and or dirt and sand, and you'd sleep on top of that. Odysseus, according to Homer, crafted a bed for himself and Penelope out of a huge olive tree, and it was inlaid with gold, silver, and ivory.
Wow.
Sounds pretty fucking nice.
Yeah. Was he killing elephants, or where was he getting that ivory? That's what I want to know.
Odysseus?
Yeah.
Yeah, Odysseus famously hated elephants. Yeah, they had to cut out like 17 chapters of the Odyssey where he was just fighting elephants for no reason. They weren't even in his way. He was just like, guys, I see some elephants over there on the other side of those sirens. We got to go take them out.
This bed is a warning to all elephants.
Yeah,
I'm well rested and bloodthirsty.
Yeah, the well-rested, versatile Odysseus. Yeah, pretty nice bed. You don't see shit like that at Restoration Hardware. The 17th century, though, was where we really start to get the good shit, bed-wise. According to Wikipedia, with no citation, and I can't find a citation for this, so it might just be something somebody made up and added to Wikipedia, but according to Wikipedia, the 17th century has been called the century of magnificent beds. This was all thanks to some of perhaps the lion-downest rulers in the history of the game, the Bourbons, aka the Louis. The Louis even gave the Caesars a run for their money lying down wise, especially Louis XIV. I mean, you could not catch this motherfucker standing up. This was one lying down ass king. Louis XIV owned as many as 413 beds among his many palaces.
Horizontal king.
The horizontal king, they called him, yeah. The Bourbons loved lying down so much that they had a special kind of parliamentary session called the lit de justice, or bed of justice, where the king would lay on basically a reclining chair made of pillows and pronounce royal edicts from his bed.
And was he like under covers?
Like, no, it was 5 pillows and one, so like 2 under his arms, 1 under his back, 1 under his ass, and 1 under his feet. And actually, Louis the 16th, who was the second to last Louis, was in the middle of a parliamentary session that was very important. They were talking about the war and the revolution, and he fell asleep during the session because he just couldn't be bothered to stay. He was on a comfy bed. Hard to blame him, but also he just wasn't very interested in governing. But at some point after the French Revolution, Western civilization kind of just lost its drive to make better and better beds. At least that's what Matteo Franceschetti believes. Matteo Franceschetti is the founder and CEO of 8 Sleep, a smart bed company, which is the main topic of today's episode. And Matteo says, quote, "We still sleep in the same way we used to sleep 2,000 years ago. The only difference is that instead of sleeping on a piece of rock, we sleep on a piece of dumb foam."
So he's not familiar with any of this history, because I don't
know
recall
shit about beds.
There wasn't a single bed example that you gave where someone was actually lying on a piece of rock.
No, a rock's not a bed. Right. You'd think you know this shit if you're going to be the CEO of a sleep company. It was very easy for me to find this information. So somebody send Matteo this podcast so he can learn something about fucking beds.
Yeah, I think it sounds like maybe he has an ulterior motive for spinning this narrative.
I don't think so. Why would you think that?
I'm just a naturally suspicious person.
Yeah, I guess you're just a cynic, Jeff. Anyway, what's a smart bed? So a smart bed is a bed that is somehow connected to the internet. And 8 Sleep is not the first company to make a smart bed. As a parent, I'm sure you've heard of the snoo.
Snoo. No, I don't know. What's the snoo? What's the snoo with you?
Snoo with me is it's a bassinet. It's a baby bed, and it has the ability to rock the baby from side to side, detect if they start making noises during the night and try to get them back to sleep by playing louder white noise or rocking in a different way, stuff like that. It's for newborns basically, and It has a smartphone app, so you can view your statistics and control the rocking behavior all through this smartphone app that they have.
I've seen things like this where it's like a very aerodynamic looking like pod like thing. I don't know if this is the Snoop in particular, but it like has the ability to sort of move on every axis, like up, down, left, right, forward, back.
Yeah. Snoo only goes back and forth, around the central axis and stays horizontal.
Okay.
It's pretty good. We had one. We had one when Phoebe was a newborn. It was pretty good. Although our neighbors kept complaining about the sound that it made through the floor. It worked. I think it worked pretty well. But they're very expensive. Sleep Number is obviously huge in this market. I think Tempur-Pedic also has some smart products. Sleep Number's main thing is that it has an adjustable firmness. So you and your sleeping partner can have different firmness, and those are represented by your sleep numbers. So you can program in. I think they have a smartphone app. You can program in your sleep number and get maybe statistics. Sleep Number beds also have dual zone temperature control, which is one of the main features of the 8 Sleep bed also. So if you sleep hotter or colder than your partner, you can both have different sleep at different temperatures.
How did you dive into the history of Sleep Number? Because I feel like that almost like predated like these like internet connected beds where maybe you just had like a paddle, that each of you could like dial in.
Yeah, it used to be like a little dial. The Sleep Number got started in 1980, I believe, and it used to be actually I worked at the company that I worked at one of the companies probably that they hired in the late 2000s to internet connect their beds. We developed an embedded device to go inside their beds and connect to our platform and do internet connected stuff. Which is part of my origin story as a podcaster whose podcasts about stupid smart technologies. So Sleep Number was already very well established by 2014, which is when Matteo Franceschetti and 3 of his co-founders founded this company, 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep was founded on the principle of what they call sleep fitness, which is the idea that since sleep is so connected to health, if we really want to be our best selves, we need to treat sleeping like going to the gym. By which I mean optimize the hell out of it. You got to do everything you can to make sure you get the best possible sleep every night. Otherwise, you're just leaving health on the table.
I do like the idea. I like this. I like this metaphor or this comparison of like going to the gym. I like the idea that unlike the joke about going to the gym is like you get a membership but you never actually use it. But the nice thing about a bed is that you always use it. So you can't it's like, that's kind of smart. It's like you can't not, I guess you can't not take advantage of these things because you're still sleeping every night.
Right. Everybody's got to sleep. And if you're sleeping on an 8 Sleep bed, you're like covered in sensors. So it's really hard to ignore. I certainly wouldn't advise anybody to go to the gym, so I can't really speak on this. But Franceschetti likes to say that 8 Sleep has 2 goals. 1, compress your sleep. And 2, save your life. These are like long-term goals for the company. So compress your sleep, meaning, quote, what if you could sleep only 6 hours and get more rest than when you slept 8 hours? It's a beautiful vision. Reminds me of nothing so much as have you seen the Onion video where it's like a TED Talk, but the guy's telling the audience about his invention, and his invention is a car that runs on compost, and he's already had the idea, so he's done half the work. Now all they have to do is hire the best engineers and pay them double what they made before, and then they'll have cars that run on compost.
No, but I love that.
Find it online. It's one of my favorite things the Onion has ever made. Just search for compost fueled cars. Wouldn't that be great? Is what it's called.
Yeah. So the eight is not a it's not a goal. It's not an aspiration.
8 Sleep. Yeah, like I don't. It's not 8 hours. 8 hours. You'd think it had something to do with 8 hours.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where the 8 comes from. I haven't heard no explanation of this. They have there's some, we'll get to this later, but there's some GitHub projects to jailbreak the 8 Sleep bed, and one of them is called 9 Sleep. Anyway, so 8 Sleep makes a lot of claims about being able to compress your sleep someday. But the science here is very dodgy. They talk a lot about this article published in 2024 in the open access journal Bioengineering, entitled Sleeping for 1 Week on a Temperature-Controlled Mattress Cover Improves Sleep and Cardiovascular Recovery. There are 10 listed authors on this paper, all of whom are either paid employees, former paid employees, or paid consultants of 8 Sleep. The experiment described by the paper involved having 54 participants sleep on the 8 Sleep pod, which is what their product is called, the 8 Sleep pod, for 8 nights, some nights with the temperature control off and some with the temperature control on. And the participants wore biometric tracking devices to track their heart rate and so on. And the article claims few statistically significant conclusions about how sleeping at lower temperatures in the first half of the night increases REM sleep duration by 25%, and sleeping heart rate is 2% slower with the temperature control on, shit like that. It really smells to me like they just collected a lot of data and reported whatever correlations happen to shake out, which is not how you do science. And their p-values aren't even that great.
Well, can we do like a direct comparison of the statistical quality of this study against the chimpanzee study? Because that one sounded pretty convincing to me.
That one was really good. Yeah, I don't think they compare, but we don't have too much more information about that. A lot of their research is private. But they do have PhDs. They do have sleep science PhDs on staff. Who do actual sleep science. So at least they have people who are familiar with science. I don't know if they actually did science to generate this study. It doesn't really seem like it to me. But on the other hand, it must be science, right? Because it was published in Bioengineering, which is a peer-reviewed publication. Now, does Bioengineering charge article submitters a $3,400 processing charge to have their article published? Of course they do. Is that higher than 95% of the article processing charges for open access journals? Of course it is. And that's how you know it's the best journal.
Scientific rigor.
Yeah, that's right. That's science. I don't want to slag off Bioengineering too much. I don't know too much about the journal. It could be, not all open access journals are bad. It could be quite good. But they published this study, and I don't think the study's that good.
Is the Sleep 8, or the 8 Sleep, is it like a full mattress, or is it like a cover that goes over your existing mattress?
It's a whole sleep system, and each component costs at least $1,000. So most of the life-saving features, so they have their other goal is save your life. So most of the life-saving features, with quotes, of the 8 Sleep pods seem to be associated with their feature called Health Check, which is available to subscribers at the Elite Autopilot tier. Health Check works by processing data from sensors in the cover, which is the fitted sheet that goes over the mattress. Capital C, that's the product name, the 8 Sleep cover. It's full of sensors, and so it'll measure your baseline heart rate, breathing rate, and so on while you sleep. And then subsequently, if 2 or more of those metrics are outside your normal range overnight, they'll send you a notification. And of course, what you do with that notification is up to you. 8 Sleep makes no claims at all about what that data may or may not mean for your health. So great. They invented a $4,000 machine for stimulating your hypochondria.
Yeah, just more data, something to worry about when it changes.
Exactly. What do you want, less data?
Well, that reminds me of speaking of infant technology, that reminds me of the things where you get the socks that go on your kids, and if their heart rate changes, you get a push notification. And have you heard about those?
No, that sounds dystopian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff like that where it's close monitoring, baby heart rate, and
Jesus.
It's just as
if new parents needed anything more to.
Yeah. She was breathing 40 times a minute. Now she's breathing, I don't remember how often infants breathe, but she was breathing 40 times a minute, and now she's breathing 50 times a minute. We should go in there and check on her.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that stuff's pretty sad.
A friend of mine tried to build. It didn't. I don't think it worked out. But this was when I was working at that IoT company. A friend of mine built a monitor for his newborn to go in the room and to monitor the air for poop particles to see if she had pooped or during the night, so he could go in and change her diaper, which I thought was a pretty good idea. But it turns out it's pretty hard. to detect poop particles in the air.
From a diaper. I mean, that is pretty clever. Yeah,
I mean, you can do
I
it
think
with your nose, but
you'd have to be
noses are
pretty
better.
sensitive.
Yeah, more people should be building technology that's weird.
Agreed.
Now, $4,000 plus $40 a month might sound like a lot of money to spend on a mattress that sometimes wakes you up to tell you you're breathing too fast. But Matteo Franceschetti believes, quote, "We just need to find the balance between the complexity of the technology and what consumers can spend. But there's a perfect world where there's a perfect price, and 8 billion people on Earth will get better sleep thanks to our product." And Matteo, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I can guarantee it's going to be no more than 7,999,999,999 people, because I'm not fucking sleeping on one of these things.
What if they sponsored your podcast?
If they sponsor my podcast, I will sleep on one while I record the podcast. Every time I'll be recording from an 8 sleep bed. I will drive with an 8 sleep bed in my car. Please, give me a call.
3.
Give me a call, Matteo. I'll rescind everything I'm about to say about you.
8 billion. Also, your product being used by every person on the earth. That is a pretty ambitious goal. I don't think any product has reached that level of market penetration.
Yeah, maybe the only way that you could do that is by a world fascist government takeover. And well, as we'll get to, some of the Confederates of the 8 Sleep top brass might not think that's a terrible idea.
This is where we discovered that 8 Sleep has contributed to the building of the new White House ballroom.
Oh, just wait. Yeah, just wait, Jeff. I think 8 Sleep is missing a big opportunity here, because they already have this bed full of sensors that they're selling to rich people who are worried about not being best at things. But most people don't really want to optimize their sleep. They just want to sleep. I bet there are a lot more people who would like to optimize the other thing they do in bed, which is the nasty. I mean, they've got dozens of these sensors. All they need to do is train their AI algorithms a bit, and they could be offering real-time sex tips to couples all over the world. Who wouldn't want to get a push notification 5 minutes after sex saying, "Our systems have detected that you fell short of your optimal foreplay allocation by 37%.
Or or during even. I mean, like real time updates. Like what's going on?
Get a little screen on the wall to stare at.
We're both wearing VR headsets anyways.
Yeah, because it's 2025. According to our heart rate monitor, your partner faked that orgasm. Be a great notification to get.
I did hear. I mean, I have heard that like the only 2 things you should really do in bed are sleep or have sex. Like even like apparently like reading, looking at your phone, forget about it. But even like reading is kind of like, I don't know, shouldn't be done. It's crazy. It's crazy. Who doesn't read in bed? But that's
right.
what I've heard.
Right. Who doesn't look at their phone in bed? And how are you supposed to set the temperature on your bed if you can't use the app?
Does the app ever in these products, does the app ever disappear? Like, because in theory, it's like if you're AI'd to the 10th degree, it's like at some point, why am I even looking at my phone? This thing should just automatically be adjusting.
Yeah, I think they could get rid of the app. I mean, we'll talk about what happened to the app when they changed their business model a little bit. But right, why should you need an app if the thing knows about you? Right? If they claim their AI algorithms allows them to understand every individual's sleep as an individual. So if it can do that, why do you need to tell it anything, right? It should be able to sense your sweat if you're too hot or shivering if you're too cold and just adjust things. Hit me up, 8 Sleep. I got more ideas where that came from.
Yeah, we're cooking. We're going to solve all these problems.
I think they're going to listen to this podcast and they're going to give me a call. Email Dan at techblows.net. Email me. How does the 8 Sleep pod work, though? Well, the pulsing brain of the pod is this thing called the hub. It's about the size of like an early 2000s desktop computer. I found photos of the inside of this thing, thanks to heroic Redditor BGP Astronaut for sacrificing your hub for science. But there's nothing surprising inside it. It's a hunk of metal. There's a printed circuit board, a water tank, a couple water pumps. There's a big heat sink. There's a fan, pretty normal stuff. The water goes in and out of the pod through two padded hoses. I think one for the left side, one for the right side. Inside the padded hose, there's a circuit, has to bring the water to one side of the bed and back out. And there's separate Peltier-based thermal controls that are built in with the pumps, so they can set the temperatures of each side of the bed independently. So the cover, which like I said is the fitted sheet, and it has a little port for the hoses that you plug into, and presumably it's woven through with little tubes that carry the water all around the bed and heat you or cool you.
Wow. So it's like an electric blanket, but it uses water, so it can be hot or cold.
Yeah. Pretty cool, pretty cool invention if it needed to exist. There's also a device called the 8 Sleep Base, which is a 3-inch thick shim that goes under your mattress and can adjust your sleeping position. So or raise your feet if you want. It can raise your head. They claim they can reduce snoring by automatically raising your head a few inches whenever you snore.
Damn, sounds like you're the prime candidate. Yeah. I was wondering if we were going to kind of delve into like the Craftmatic 2 territory. It sounds like
What's the Craftmatic 2?
Oh, the Craftmatic. This was like something that would occasionally be like a prize on like The Price is Right or whatever. And it was like a bed that, laid perfectly flat, but then, you could adjust it to bring your feet up or your head up and kind of be in almost like this slanted, like reclining type position. It had these multiple points of articulation, and you could it almost turned your bed into like a recliner when it was like fully engaged.
That's exactly what they're trying to do here. I mean, maybe they bought a bunch of Craftmatics from after The Price is Right. Stopped giving them away.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that those things weighed like 2,000 pounds. Just like these monstrosities of like stepper motors and metal, like steel. Because this was I think this was again another like 80s into 90s invention.
Right.
Yeah, not for the faint of heart.
That's what I need. A bed that has to be brought in pieces by a team of technicians and assembled out of metal and wires. Yeah, so big if true, right? If they can reduce my snoring, then that'd be great. I will get woken up by my wife less often, poking me to turn on my side so I stop snoring. But I don't know if it actually works. Maybe it does. I have not found a lot of genuine seeming testimonials about the 8 Sleep Pod. There may be some people out there who bought it and it totally just fixed their sleep. They can sleep now because of it. I also think there's a kind of mind, a kind of person in the modern world where maybe you're not sleeping well partly because of anxiety, and spending $4,000 on a fancy space age bed reduces your anxiety a little bit, so you feel better about sleeping, maybe. I did find a lot of posts on the unofficial 8 Sleep subreddit of people who had woken up in the middle of the night to a soaking wet bed because the hose port on their 8 Sleep cover had sprung a leak and just soaked the bed with warm water. So great. They invented a bed that pisses itself.
I mean, that sounds like a real scapegoat situation. It's like, no, it was the 8 Sleep. I didn't pee the bed. It was the smart bed.
Another reason to buy one.
Yeah, you're really bringing me around. I don't know if you're trying to talk me out of this, but I'm just like,
sorry. Yeah, I'll get to the bad stuff later.
Okay.
Now, while 8 Sleep may not have a lot of testimonials from the common man, they have something even better: celebrity endorsements. They're really big on celebrity endorsements. People who've endorsed the 8 Sleep include Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Formula One driver Charles Leclerc, Brian Johnson, the billionaire who's famous for getting blood transfusions from his son in order to prevent the effects of aging. And of course, Elon Musk's close confidant, Antonio Gracias, is one of the main investors in 8 Sleep. And so is Charles Leclerc, the Formula One driver. So you have to take a couple of these endorsements with a grain of salt. Mark Zuckerberg, though, I can't find any evidence of Mark Zuckerberg being an investor in this company. So maybe he's just a true believer, Maybe he does seem like to have a real passion for technologies that strip us of our humanity.
Has he ever delivered like a meta all hands while reclined in the 8 Sleep?
He's probably laying people off from a temperature controlled bed. I wonder if he sleeps on an 8 sleep in the metaverse.
The bed in the metaverse does not have legs.
They're thinking about adding him if you pay extra. Peter Thiel is also a big investor in 8 Sleep, but he hasn't endorsed it as far as I can tell, probably because Peter Thiel sleeps each night inside the body cavity of a freshly slaughtered sheep. You might wonder, with an AI smart device business based on pseudoscientific hooey, how is Matteo Franceschetti not selling supplements too? If that's the real fitness grifter way, it's so profitable to sell supplements. If he wasn't serious about the science of sleep, he would be selling supplements. So the fact that he doesn't sell supplements kind of proves that he really does believe in the healing power of, just kidding, he totally sells supplements. There's one called Sleep Elixir, and that's a steal at $59 a month. Seems like the active ingredient is just tryptophan. 8 Sleep also sells a jet lag supplement for $99 a bottle.
How many servings in that bottle? Like one?
Looked pretty good. I don't know. I would guess from looking at it, there's maybe 100. I haven't checked the website for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, $1 a pill. That's pretty good. I mean, they probably don't do anything, but it's still a pretty good value.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking about optimization earlier, I was definitely thinking about like Soylent and stuff like that, like the whole like biohacking stuff, where it's just like it's like curse this shell that I'm captured in. How can I like escape it?
Oh yeah, technology? These people hate their bodies.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Now in February of 2023, 8 Sleep made the very controversial move of placing almost all the pods features behind a subscription-based paywall. This includes scheduling, the wake-up alarm, which vibrates you to wake you up, sleep tracking. Basically, customers could no longer use any of the smart features of their devices without paying a monthly subscription fee.
Heating and cooling? Did they still get heating and cooling?
Yeah, well, you can't set the temperature. Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't even set the temperature anymore?
No.
So you just had a bed?
You just have a bed now. Yeah, like a fucking chump. And the 8 Sleep subreddit lost their fucking shit at this change. People immediately started talking about jailbreaking the hub. The subreddit has really turned against the company. It's a really fun read. One of these jailbreaking projects on GitHub, Free Sleep, has over 500 stars. Free Sleep, which is just normal, which just sounds like normal sleep to me. Everybody's free to sleep. I don't know.
Free sleep. Well, inevitably there needs to be a free sleep and a Libra sleep fork.
Yep.
And they need to disagree about the governance of those projects.
Oh, I wish it wasn't true. Free Sleep enables the use of all the schedule management features, the dynamic temperature control, some of the biometric tracking, all locally without an internet connection. And in fact, you can block your pod's internet connection entirely and Free Sleep will still work, which is incredible for a bed.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah. But Jeff, if you're thinking about biting the bullet and getting one of these because there's the Free Sleep app, let me tell you what the Free Sleep installation process looks like. So you're going to need about $80 worth of equipment you can buy on Amazon, tools and stuff, ribbon cables. You're going to have to connect all those ribbon cables to everything. You take the cover off, which is not meant to be taken off. Connect all the ribbon cables. Then you interrupt the hub's boot sequence and get root. Mount a bunch of file systems. Change the root password. Reboot. Set up internet access. Curl the Free Sleep install script and pipe to bash, as you do.
Without reading it.
Don't read it. If you read it, it ruins the magic of the Free Sleep experience. You do some setup on their web app, and voila, you now have a jailbroken, SSHable bed that can be controlled without internet access. Pretty cool. I applaud the Free Sleep project owner, GitHub user, throwaway 31265 for figuring all this out. Probably because he didn't want to get sued for jailbreaking it.
But yeah, very, very innovative. I mean, it's incredible that person was able to figure this out.
Yeah, it's amazing. But if you want a truly jailbroken, cloud-free, non-walled garden sleeping experience, what you really need to buy is the Technology Blows sleep platform. For just $6,000, which is 18% above the sticker price of the Pod 5 Ultra package, we'll ship you a fully operational TBSP Hyperbed smart mattress. No subscription, all the functionality works straight out of the box. It comes standard with a completely flat sleeping surface for optimal horizontality, which our research indicates is the optimal condition for high quality sleep. There's multi-sleeper temperature control, which we achieve through our state-of-the-art sticking 1 foot out from under the covers technique. And best of all, if you order now, your Hyperbed will ship with our limited edition Technology Blows box cutter, which unlocks the mattress's secure storage system, the ultimate modern solution for storing whatever is most precious to you. You know, cash, drugs, pornography. So don't wait. Order now.
I'll take 2.
Yeah, you're already sleeping on one, right?
I'll take 3, actually.
Yeah.
Can I, if I put a glass of red wine on this mattress and I drop a bowling ball next to the glass of wine, will the glass of wine tip over?
Something will happen. You know, we've never tried it with a bowling ball and a glass of wine, but we have tried it with a anvil and a glass of hydrochloric acid, and it was a very expensive day. But we put all that research into your product, so you don't have to worry about that now. There's a warning in the manual. Don't do that.
We tried it with a harpsichord and a souffle.
Yeah, and we're publishing. Oh, that result is secret. We're going to publish it in a couple months in a peer-reviewed journal, and you're the peer. You're going to review it for me. Anyway, in February 2025, Elon Musk tweeted that employees of DOGE, the second Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, which at the time Musk was in charge of, were working 120-hour weeks, leaving them with only 48 hours per week for non-work activities, including sleep. So who stepped in to solve this problem? None other than Matteo Franceschetti, of course. 8 Sleep shipped a consignment of pods to the Eisenhower Federal Office Building where DOGE was quartered, and then celebrated on X, saying, quote, "Mission completed," all caps. "I hope this will supercharge Elon Musk and the incredible team to shape the future of America. Let's go," rocket emoji. You know, it was basically just like the time in July of 2018 when Elon Musk stepped up to help with the rescue of a junior soccer team trapped in a cave in Thailand by manufacturing a, quote, mini sub that was too big to fit in the cave, and then falsely accusing a British caver who had been helping with the rescue of pedophilia.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
These people love to help.
Is the Eisenhower building? Does it have like sleeping quarters already, or are they just like taking over some spare office spaces that they were able to optimize?
I assume they just threw them wherever. I've seen photos of the X offices, and they just set up tents in a big open office space and started sleeping in them. So I don't think it's very organized.
Wasn't the former CEO of Twitter sleeping under her desk?
Yes, but that may have been because the rogue grok bots that were around the office.
Turret-enabled.
Turret-enabled grok bots. Yeah, that's what you do when you're a successful business professional, is you sleep under your desk.
Okay, so tech people hate sleeping. This is the message that I'm getting.
Yes.
It's like they think it's a waste of time. They're like, I resent the fact that I have to do it. I need to like breed this out of me somehow.
Yeah, they really think that there's something wrong with them. And that's the mentality. They feel that that's the mentality that got them to where they are, which in some cases it is. And they need to chase that to become an optimal human.
Yeah.
Musk left DOGE in May of 2025. I don't know what happened to the 8 Sleep pods. I hope they were incinerated. And speaking of 8 Sleep pods being incinerated, we come now to the story that really put 8 Sleep on the map. And maybe you heard about this despite your best efforts to not research anything, Jeff, since I know you work in the biz. On Monday, October 20th at 2:48 a.m. Eastern Time, Amazon Web Services finally answered the age-old question, who would win, a globe-spanning cloud computing giant with a yearly budget of $100 billion or one empty DNS record?
I did hear about this. Yes, this does ring a bell.
Yeah.
Something happened. And I was unable to Snapchat for a little while.
Yeah, you couldn't chat any snaps. Yeah, I didn't really feel it too bad myself. I was just mostly aware of it going on. It looked very exhausting for the people who had to get up in the middle of the night and deal with it.
Yeah,
and it was the middle of the night.
Yeah. interacted with this incident in a number of ways. I will say, fortunately for myself, it was not horrible.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people who were deep in the trenches.
Yeah, nobody needs that. So US East 1, the Virginia region of Amazon's cloud computing platform, AWS, suffered a massive rolling outage that lasted around 36 hours, all told, disrupting the entire goddamn internet. Because we've invented this awesome system where basically every website and app either depends directly on US East 1 or it depends on a third party that depends on US East 1. And so whenever someone trips over a power cable at Amazon's data center in Virginia, nobody in the world can order delivery anymore. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I had a dentist appointment that day, and my dental hygienist was like, my Ring camera was out today. And I was like, I know exactly why. It was affecting everything.
And there's really no way to prepare for it as a company, because you can spread your own architecture across different Amazon regions. That's very expensive, but you can do it, or even different clouds. But if you depend on any third-party services, which almost every software company does, you can't guarantee they don't depend on US East 1. And there may even be ways that you depend on US East 1, even if you're multi-region, that you don't know about.
Right. It's like our control plane that decides what cloud provider we should flip over to is actually running in US East 1.
Yep. The companies choose what to build and how to build it, and we just get their slot. So 2:48 a.m. Eastern Time is right smack dab in the middle of peak business hours for 8 Sleep. So what did that mean for pod owners? Well, 404 Media did some great reporting on this. It wasn't just that they couldn't access their sleeping stats anymore. There was a raft of angry social media posts made during the outage by users. 8 Sleep pods behaved in wildly bizarre ways when cut off from their precious connections to the servers. Notably, it seems the 8 Sleep base becomes a complete brick when AWS is down, and not even a flat brick. It's a brick in whatever shape it happened to be in when AWS went down. So many 8 Sleep users found their beds stuck in a sitting position all night. So, never mind the sensors and the data and the AI models, the bed simply is not a bed anymore. I mean, obviously, I don't think these beds should ever have been built at all, but you'd think they could have at least made them work like that famous Mitch Hedberg bit about escalators, right? Smart bed, temporarily bed. We apologize for the convenience.
Yes.
That's
Thank you so much.
The beds also lost their ability to control temperature. Many users reported their beds overheating, which seems like something that could be solved by just unplugging the bed. But what do I know? I'm just a casual sleeper, not one of these highly adept sleep athletes.
Well, also scary to think that like the there isn't some sort of temperature governor like in the hub where it's like maybe I shouldn't heat up to like 212 degrees. Like maybe we should cap that at like 10, 102 or something.
Yeah, they just put a hot pot thermostat in here.
Yeah, pressure cooker. It's like what happens if you like say you're getting new internet service or whatever. Like what happens if your house just doesn't have internet? Is your 8 bed gonna like fold you up? Or like if you just had a normal internet outage that wasn't sort of like, broadly affecting like the actual 8 Sleep infrastructure?
I think it would do the same stuff. I don't know why this would be a special case. I don't own one of these things. I can't test it myself. But why wouldn't it be the same behavior? I think if it's a shorter period, then your bed has less of a chance to heat up. And I think the base stays in the same shape it was in. So if you weren't trying to change it, move it around at that time, you wouldn't notice it. Although ESPN host Victoria Arlen reports that her bed went, quote, super haywire and still seems to be turning on and off randomly with the inability to stop it or control it during the outage.
And to this day has not recovered.
Possibly, yeah. She hasn't. I don't know that she's updated. I don't follow her on Twitter, but maybe hers has a virus. Your beds can get viruses now, by the way. So a rough night for many of the world's top sleepers. In an effort at damage control, Matteo Franceschetti took to X to assure customers, quote, we will work the whole night plus 24/7 to build an outage mode so the problem will be fixed extremely quickly. I can't imagine this assuaged much of the ire since users on the 8 Sleep subreddit have been urging the company since 2023 to make the pods operable without cloud service. They've been saying this, for years.
Right. They're like, we're going to do our best work. We're going to make the best feature we can. We're going to do it all in the next 17 hours.
Yeah, that's how amazing we are.
Yeah,
that's how amazing we are as a company.
You know how good our sleep is? You know how optimized we are?
We woke up at 2:48 a.m. and we were all like, I feel great. I can't wait to build an outage mode for this product that should not be connected to the internet anyway.
Ready to go.
I know I should feel bad for these people who lost a night of sleep because their $5,000 smart bed curled up and started smoking like an overcooked shrimp, but it's just so funny. I mean, one night of lost sleep in exchange for how fucking funny this story is. These people just took one for the team, and I thank them for their service. So before we close, I want to talk a bit about the myth that the whole 8 Sleep value proposition is built on. And to summarize this myth, I'll quote Matteo Franceschetti again on the podcast Legends and Leaders in May of 2025. He said, "Our goal is to use as many sensors as possible to scan your body every single night so you can know if you're developing a certain health condition," right? The logic goes like, there's probably something wrong with you. It might kill you, but if you give a computer enough data about yourself, it can figure out what's wrong with you, and then maybe you won't die. It's this like Brian Johnson infinite longevity shit condensed into a product. And a lot of people must believe this because certainly a lot of products are sold this way nowadays. And it almost makes sense. If you're sick and you have the means to go to fancy doctors, doctors can marshal a huge variety of tests to diagnose what's wrong with you. So why shouldn't we be able to diagnose a person who's outwardly healthy by getting a bunch of data on them and feeding it to AI algorithms? And the thing is, doctors can only do that because they're coming up with hypotheses to explain your symptoms. You come to them with symptoms. It goes, what are your symptoms first? And then what data do I need to get to rule out explanations for these symptoms? We've all seen House MD. We know how this works.
Differential diagnosis.
Differential diagnosis, exactly. So if instead you start with, hey, what data can we collect? And then go to what anomaly can we find in this data to call a symptom? That's not science. That's like the opposite of science.
So what is a symptom?
So if your sleeping heart rate is too far out of range from your baseline sleeping heart rate, or your heart rate variability, which is one of the other metrics they measure, or your breathing, they have a few other sensors that they can use. But basically, if 2 or more of those metrics are out of your normal range, then they will tell you, hey, you slept weird last night.
Anomaly detected.
Anomaly detected, yeah.
And these sensors are just like in the pad, or do you wear stuff too?
You don't have to wear anything. They're built into, as far as I know, they're built into the cover. They're built into the fitted sheet. They might also have a microphone built into the hub. I'm not sure.
Oof.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's grim. I have to imagine a lot of doctors in the Bay Area are getting people coming to them being like, I need you to check me out, doc, because my bed reported that I was breathing slightly outside my normal range last night. And doctors are, the doctors have got to be like, Jesus Christ, another one.
The bed's printing out a referral.
Yeah. They 8 Sleep says they're applying for FDA approval as a medical diagnosis device, and who knows, they might get it because the FDA is not what it used to be.
I just, whatever we can do to get healthy as a country, I'm on board with it.
Sure, nobody's against health, but this pseudoscientific, anti-scientific, I'm going to call it anti-scientific because I really feel this is the opposite of the scientific process. It makes mortality, which is one of the few things every human shares with every other human, into a pathology. It pathologizes our humanity, which is just fucking ghoulish.
Because it's saying like there's something wrong with you.
Right. There's something wrong with you because there are processes in your body that can go out of whack and cause health problems or kill you. They want to extend your life by finding things wrong with your body, the wrong with your biological processes before you know about them. And like, everybody has things wrong with their biological processes and doesn't know about them and will eventually be killed by them. We could celebrate that as a common thread among all humans from all parts of the world. All 8 billion of us have unexpected things happening in our body all the time and are mortal. But 8 Sleep wants you to believe, no, if you buy our bed, you'll be in a better position than everybody else in humanity, because we'll be able to tell you that there's something wrong with your body and you should go to a doctor.
That's
when there's
grim.
nothing wrong with your body. It's grim.
That is grim. Are they selling this sort of like immortality? Like, are they sort of like pawing at this like idea of immortality?
I haven't heard Matteo Franceschetti state this explicitly, but they have investments and celebrity endorsements from Peter Thiel and Brian Johnson, who are definitely pawing at immortality as a thing that people should aspire to. It's all very connected. So great. You feeling good? You gonna go buy one of these?
No, I don't think so. I'm still struggling with this notion that every person on Earth is gonna somehow get one of these beds.
It's gonna happen. Don't bet it. Don't bet against him. He sleeps 6 hours a night, and he's never felt better.
Yeah. Oh man, I never thought sleep would bring me down so much.
Yeah, this is a depressing podcast, Jeff. So thank you for taking one for the team.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Well, that's it. That's all the research I did on 8 Sleep beds. I appreciate you coming. Jeff, you've been a great guest. Thanks I hope you didn't scare you too much with my witch impression at the beginning.
It was very surprising. I mean, no one can see this video, but Dan was wearing a witch's hat, and kind of caught me off guard. I jumped in my seat. My heart rate jumped, and the array of sensors that I am wearing at all times immediately told me to go see a doctor.
You got a push notification that said witch.
Witch detected.
Yeah, I asked Phoebe, my 5-year-old, on the way to school this morning. I told her that I was going to scare you with her witch's hat on the beginning of the podcast. She wants to know if you were scared. So I'll tell her your heart rate jumped.
I was scared.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. So that's it. If you like the show, please tell your friends. Tell your friends how great this show is. Give us a 5-star review on your podcast app. We deserve it. You can and should also follow the show on Blue Sky, username TechBlows. Our theme music, which you're hearing right now, is by Magic Al. Check out magicalmusic.bandcamp.com. Happy Halloween. Catch us again next week on Technology Blows.